Americans are growing more and more sick and tired of Barack Obama. They're sick of the sanctimony, the narcissistic celebrity, the dishonesty and growing number of failures. But more than anything, they have never feared for America's future like they do right now. 7 years ago, he set out to fundamentally transform our country. And when it comes to the runaway power of the executive branch over Congress, the courts, the people, and the rule of law, the president has laid waste to the America we remember. Now he has chosen what he misunderstands most about America, the Second Amendment, gun owners, and the NRA. Against the will of Congress, and in defiance of our constitutional system, the president unilaterally decreed that anyone, any lawful citizen who sells, trades, or gifts even just one firearm might be vulnerable to arrest and charged with a felony.
We want to put everybody on notice that the definition of doing business, which means you have to register, and it means you have to run a background check, is if you are making a profit and repeatedly selling guns, then you should have to follow the same rules as every other gun dealer. And what
There's
that
a lot
means,
of people who believe that's not specific enough.
Arrest, prosecution, fines, prison. That is how they play the game. In the fog of vague rules and mysterious definitions, honest Americans are made vulnerable, forced into a maze of government bureaucracy and the hiring of lawyers to face the threat of consequences. When the law is a mystery, all that is left is fear. The president further declared that anyone, any lawful citizen who receives Social Security benefits and has their financial affairs managed by a family member or friend could be denied their constitutional right to buy a firearm and could be charged with a felony if they attempt to purchase one. Arrest, prosecution, fines, prison. Make no mistake, with an opportunity for the president to score political points and claim a cheap victory, this executive action is a bright red line that law-abiding gun owners should cross at their own peril. It's only a matter of time before he makes an example out of someone. And to do so, the president announced a federal gun force that will be 4 times the size of the special forces units he deployed against ISIS terrorists. Let me be clear. The NRA will fight this illegal overreach more aggressively than we have ever challenged anything. But it will take time. And while millions of peaceful, law-abiding gun owners tiptoe in fear of their government, the killers who terrorize our cities prey upon the innocent with no fear of repercussion whatsoever. Through a deliberate lack of prosecution, President Obama has made America a sanctuary nation for felons, criminal gangbangers, drug dealers, repeat offenders, and illegal aliens. Under the existing federal gun laws, he could take every felon with a gun, drug dealer with a gun, and criminal gangbanger with a gun off the streets tomorrow and lock them up for 5 years or more. But under his direction, federal gun prosecutions have dropped dramatically, and nowhere have criminals fared better than his hometown of Chicago. Criminals like Tyrese Bell, who despite being convicted 5 times in 6 years, including on a gun charge, was let out on probation, hopped into a taxi, and murdered the driver. Not even the president can believe that his executive actions would have anything to do with stopping that kind of savagery, which is why his attack on peaceful gun owners, when he refuses to prosecute gun criminals, is Washington politics at its most cynical and dishonest.
Every time I think about those kids, it gets me mad. And by the way, it happens on the streets of Chicago every day. So,
All of us need to demand a Congress brave enough to stand up to the gun lobby's lies.
The American people know a liar when they see one.
If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. The crude and disgusting video sparked outrage throughout the Muslim world. There's no video that justifies an attack on an embassy. Our goal has been first to contain, and we have contained them.
If the president really wanted to make Americans safer, he'd pick up the phone and tell his Justice Department to flip Chicago upside down until every criminal with a gun, criminal gangbanger with a gun, and drug dealer with a gun is arrested, prosecuted, and imprisoned to the fullest extent of the law. That would make a difference. That would save lives. But he's had 7 long years to issue that order, and he has failed. And that is why Americans don't trust the president. Because he has proven time and time again to be unworthy of our trust. As the political class proves more and more dishonest, the NRA only grows stronger. We know that the president would ban every gun and bullet in America and effectively turn us into Australia.
Other countries, in response to one mass shooting, have been able to craft laws that almost eliminate mass shootings. Friends of ours, allies of ours, Great Britain, Australia, countries like ours.
And we know that if Hillary Clinton is elected, she will make sure that happens.
I will stand up to the gun lobby.
So the president's calculation's clear. Destroy the NRA before the election, so Hillary can destroy the Second Amendment after it. That is why we won't get suckered into any of Obama's fixed fights. There's a reason why the NRA is not here. They're just down the street.
You're saying you would welcome to meet with the NRA?
Anderson, I've said this repeatedly. I'm happy to meet with them. I'm happy to talk to them. But the conversation has to be based on facts and truth.
Mr. President, pre-screened questions that lead to your long-winded answers are anything but an honest dialogue. But I'll tell you what, I'll meet you for a one-on-one, 1-hour debate with a mutually agreed upon moderator on any network that will take it. No pre-screened questions and no gas bag answers. Americans will judge for themselves who they trust and believe on this issue, you or the NRA. Let's see if you're game for a fair debate. It's your chance to show the American people you're not afraid to meet the NRA on neutral ground.